How do we fix the global food shortage and the food supply chains? Well, let's talk about a few ways that we could go back in time and just say, you know, if we just learn from history, learn what we have done in the past, that can help us go to the future. Today's video is going to be a good one. We have the solution. Fix the food chain, and the solution starts right now.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. If you are new to the Max, go down here, press subscribe, leave a comment, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm okay with that, but let us know what you think about this video, and also tell us in the comments what you're doing different, or let us know some of the other suggestions that you may have. I read every comment, from the videos that's got 1,000 comments to the videos that's got over 2,000 or 3,000 comments. I read them and I'm going to reply to you. I promise you, I'm enjoying reading your content, even the criticism, even the negative Nancy's. Keep them coming, guys, because ultimately we can learn from each other. We can gain wisdom. We're in this together, guys, building a community. So today's video is going to be a good one. How can we fix the food shortage? The answer is literally right in front of us. So let's start right now. First and foremost, you got to grow your own food. You don't need a lot of space. Chickens, rabbits, sweet potatoes, any of those things, microgreens, herbs, anything you can grow is a game changer. You need to be growing as much as you can, no matter how much spot you have. One way is quit worrying about your yard and cutting your grass. Have you seen what gas and diesel prices are? Crazy. If you have a 3-acre yard or a 2-acre yard or even a 1-acre yard, condense that down to a play area for your children, but ultimately start growing in areas that you don't need to be cutting grass in. For instance, we build raised beds. There's a strawberry bed, there's a big high tunnel, chickens, more raised beds. All that lumber, and I've got videos on it, most of all that lumber that you saw was bought at a local lumber mill for, I mean, dollars, literally dollars, guys, because you can buy it cheaper from the source. So find a mill, build your raised beds, make sure you're doing all that you can to take away and mitigate what you're cutting and wasting fuel on, and also wasting money on. Now, heating and mowing costs a lot of money now. Plus it gives you an excuse to say, you know what, I don't want to mow. Hey, if you have gardens there, you won't have to mow. So you have to be growing your own food. Sweet potatoes are a game changer here in the South. If you're in the North, herbs and cool crops such as leafy greens, those are game changers, even indoors or apartment balconies. There's so many innovative ways to grow. One way you can help with your supply chain is literally growing a little bit of food for yourself, but also to barter and trade with someone else. 1 to 10 to 15 to 20% of your food, that's 1 to 10 to 20% of your food you're not having to purchase or not going without. Please look at that option of growing food as you can. We live in a very small town, and our small town has 1 to 2 farmers markets a week. I'm talking, our town is probably only 15,000 people. Very small town, very rural area. And there's a lot of people who depend on that because they buy fresh foods from those farmers markets. Check your local area, especially in metropolitan and urban areas. You have farmers markets in your towns and cities. They're growing exponentially, and people are loving to sell their own soap, their own corn, their own beans. You're buying straight from the farmer, straight from the cottage food provider. Make sure you're going to farmers markets, because you are now doing 2 things. You are building a relationship with a local farmer, a local gardener, a local maker of soap or sower. You're building that relationship, which will ultimately help you. But now you're taking out all the middlemen. You're taking out the big box stores. You're taking out the distributors of the food. You're taking out all the gas prices that could cause issues, especially when you're buying from that person. The only amount of price that you're feeling inflated is what that farmer spent this year versus last year. Now, he may have went up on some of his prices if you're buying potatoes, corn, or greens, or pumpkins from him. However, that's one increase from one guy. If you're having to buy it from the supermarket or the store or this big conglomerate situation, guess what you're doing now? You're taking that fuel cost, it's going from the farmer, from the trucking company, the distributors, to the supermarkets, to the people who's got to be employed because of the shortage of employees. You're feeling a lot more expense all the way through that supply chain. And also that supply chain is now going everywhere. Try to buy from the local farmers market and the local guys, because those farmers are giving you quality food, and also you're building the relationship that could heal especially your community. Along with the farmers markets, along with growing your own food, say you don't have the land, say you're in an urban area, suburban area, and you don't have the land, but you have the desire. Get a community style garden going. A lot of churches, a lot of civic areas love when people want to come and do a garden at their spot. You build a community committee and you find ways to grow a garden together. You find ways to grow this little hobby farm together. If it's rabbits, chickens, and then a scale garden. Market gardens for the community and the consumers are very good. Here in our own town, again, a small town, there is one local church that does a food market garden where you can come and plant whatever you want. They provide the land, you provide the own implements, your own seed for your section, and you work together with each other. You learn to barter, you learn to help. It's camaraderie, it's community, it's building relationships that you can help learn from and gaining wisdom on growing your own food. So now we've talked about growing your own food on your own property, mitigating the cost of cutting grass or mowing or weed eating, buying straight from the farmer and making sure you're building the relationship with the local farmer on the things that he brings from the farmer's market. Thirdly would be seeing the community garden style grow up from the civic and local areas, from the churches to the civic centers. Say you don't have that yet. Talk to your church, talk to your community, talk to your mayors, your county aldermen, your county supervisors. Find ways of dead area and dead land that you can say, you know what, would you be opposed to us starting a garden here? No benefit to us. You don't have to give us any tax benefit. You don't have to, there's no extra liability you have to take on. I just want to start a garden and let people see the value of that. It's huge, guys, and we need to make sure that we are encouraging churches and community and civic centers of doing that, even if it's for their personal members. Say they're not opening it to the crowd. Say you could go to your church or your community center or your civic area and you start the community garden. It can be raised beds. You can grow a lot of food in raised beds. So thirdly would be definitely growing a community style garden, maybe in a neighbor's yard, a church, a civic area. You build community, you build camaraderie, and this could help you not have to depend on the crazy big box stores.
Our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal.
Fourth, of course, is buying in bulk, making sure that whatever you're needing and you can't grow, you need to be buying in bulk. We grow a lot of food here. However, we can't grow certain things. So when we go to buy, we buy in bulk. We save up. We are not spending nearly as much on food because now we're providing a lot of our food. But maybe we need sundry items. Maybe we need things that can't grow here in the South. So you need to be buying in bulk and making a list. Don't go into Walmart or Sam's or Costco or wherever you're buying your big box store groceries, even down to your Kroger's and Walgreens. Make sure you have a plan, you have a list, you're not hungry, and you're trying to get what you need to get. Stick to the plan, stick to the goals, buy in bulk so that way you can put up. I always tell people at minimal you need to buy 3 months worth of supplies. I've got a video on buying a 1 month supply at Walmart. It's a game changer. You need to do it. Those prices have been inflated even over 2 weeks. So when we talk about, again, the inflation and the food costs and the supply chain issues, it even affects things that happened last month. So the sooner you buy things in bulk, the sooner that you put food back, the sooner that you buy seeds to start these community gardens or the farmers that you're buying from, the sooner you do that, the cheaper it's going to be. So let's talk about now we've got all this food that we're starting to bring in. We see the food supply is broken and now we're starting to raise our own food. We're starting to buy it at the local farmers market. We are building a community style garden. We're actually buying in bulk. So now we have all this food and we're trying to figure out, okay, what can we do with it because we don't want it to ruin. So you have to learn to preserve the food because ultimately that's going to save money and help with the supply chain issues. I don't have to buy one vegetable this year if I don't want to because I've preserved the vegetables that we did have. So right now, if you can buy a ton of beans and corn and potatoes because they're in season right now and people are bringing those harvests to farmers market, if you can buy a lot, most of the time here in Mississippi, you can buy an ear of corn that is from a farmer's market for 40 to 50 cents or even less an ear. That seems like a lot, but say you buy 50 ears of corn, that's a lot of corn. You can put it up in the freezer, or you can can it. You need to learn preserving methods for that. If you're growing a lot of herbs or you're buying greens right now, you can dehydrate them and add them to other foods, because then you're adding a superfood back to the rice and beans that you're eating. So making sure you're preserving the harvest and learning how to preserve the harvest, that you're not needing food right now. Say you have 3 months worth of supplies. Well, in 3 months it may get a lot better, but by having those things preserved and put up, it allows you not to have to depend on having to run to the store when everybody else is trying to find food. Food shortages are definitely already here, especially across the world. When we talk about third world countries, when you talk about the problems they're having, you look at Sri Lanka, you look at Ghana, you look at Ecuador, you look at the Netherlands. A lot of those things are going to influence and impact the food systems all across the world, especially the Dutch farmers, because other than America, the Dutch farming in Netherlands are providing a lot of food for the world. So we have to make sure that we are doing all these steps to buy local, to make sure we're supporting local farmers, to growing our own food, to buying in bulk, and then also preserving all these harvests. You are now being the solution to some of the food crises that we're facing. Along with buying at farmers markets, another big, huge benefit is look for a local CSA, community supported agriculture. What I'm looking for and what you're looking for is a market garden that is building CSA memberships. It's like a membership to a country club or a membership to any kind of civic organization. You may be paying for $15 to $20 a month, or $15 to $20 a week, depending on how much you're getting in your basket. But those CSAs are local growers that typically are growing in things like our greenhouses here, or they have egg production, or they have milk production, or they are literally growing surplus on their farm to not give and sell to the distributors like big box stores. They're looking to sell to local people who are wanting locally grown food. So a lot of times CSAs, especially in your metropolitan areas and your suburban areas, you can look up CSAs and you can find some in your area, and they're providing you weekly baskets of food. Now, is that enough to feed your whole family? Probably not. But again, if we are mitigating 15 to 20 to 30% of what we're needing by buying it local, that is going to help the supply chain build back up and allows us to not have to put such a bearing or vice on the big food system as a whole. The more you buy local, you're supporting your community, so not having to put so much pressure on the big box stores or the big chains or big ag. It's not that I believe in any of those things, but if they're feeding the world, we need to learn to feed ourselves locally so we're not dependent on the global food supply. That is a detriment. Sometimes it could be a positive because it keeps us out of wars, it keeps us out of issues that worldwide, because we're trading, which is a good thing. But if we're solely dependent on the global food supply, then we're missing out on the local food supply that can help the local farmers and keep our community sustainable. So now we have talked about having solutions and having hope in our local food system to then not have to depend on the major global food system. When we don't, he's a little happy this morning. When we don't depend on the global food system, it helps us not put pressure on it, so it can feed the masses when it needs to, but we're buying higher quality food, we're growing high quality food, we're learning trades such as preserving our own food, and we're supporting local folks. When the crap hits the fan, if we have a relationship with these local farmers, guess what? Then we know where we can get our food and we can build relationships with that food. We're supporting them, they're supporting us. It's a game changer. Learn to grow, learn to support your local farmers, learn to grow as a community in a civic organization or a church. Learn to have hope in the CSAs and the local people growing their food. A lot of times people say growing regenerative or organic or growing locally can't feed the world. Well, it can, because it can feed your community. When we feed the communities, and all these people are doing this, if all these communities are feeding each other and helping each other and bartering our tools and ourselves to make sure that we're helping our local food system, then we won't put as much pressure on the global food system. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have other suggestions, let me know. This is just some of the ways that we have solution and hope for the food shortage, because we can do it locally and take care of ourselves. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.